Howdy, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today we're going to be kind of trucking along with our little project here for our arbor for our gear cutters. So, in our last episode, I got my piece of steel here all ready, and it's mounted up. Got a Morse taper 2 on this end of it, and it's stuck in a Morse 2 to Morse 3 adapter, and it's held into my spindle with the drawbar. So I'm going to face this off. I need to turn this down to a big 11/16 so that we get a really good pressed together fit with this sleeve of aluminum. And we'll get this faced and turned to the correct size, and then we're going to beat her together with a good sized hammer. So ignore this right up here. I had a little boo-boo, about wrecked, but I think we're going to be okay. We're just going to have a little undercut right there at the end. Hey, that's all right. I think we can live with it. This should bring us down to pretty much on size. Ended up having to put a steady rest on it because I was getting so much chatter in my cut. That's not filling me with a lot of confidence on my Morse taper. But it goes up in the socket and it feels good in the socket. There's just something going on making it chatter when I was cutting on it. Yeah, that surface finish looks terrible. Okay, so we got 700 there, and 690. Man, that's a lot of taper. 696 there. $700. Well, I got another cut to make, so stay tuned. Well, this is one place where having a lathe that cuts tapers is to your advantage. And I've got about 1/1000th of taper from here to here. So I'm going to warm this up a little bit, a couple hundred degrees, just to where I just barely can't touch it. And I'm going to beat everything together with a little Loctite on it, and we'll see what happens. All right then. I've got my piece of aluminum about as hot as I can touch it. That might be about 250 degrees. It makes slobber boil. I'm almost out of Loctite. All right, got my portable arbor press at the ready. Let's see what happens. Oh, looky there. Looky there, looky there. Didn't even have to beat on it. Well, that worked out slicker than socks on a rooster. I didn't even have to use my portable arbor press. So we'll put this thing back in the lathe and we'll do a little whittling on it. I'd say she's stuck. All right, I've got my OD here turned down to about 1.5 inches, and this is, I don't know, something like 1.5 inches long, 1.75 inches, something like that. About 1.75 inches long. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in and I'm going to turn down 1 inch of this OD here, and I'm going to turn that down to, I believe it's 22 millimeter. And I'm just going to kind of peck away at that until it is a very good fit on the ID of one of those cutters. I might even try 2 or 3 of those cutters just to make sure that those cutters are all the same ID. So this is going to be slow and monotonous and boring, but that's what it is. I've got my dial indicator, my 2-inch travel indicator set up here, and we're just going to whittle and walk and whittle and walk. I think 1 inch will look pretty good. Should have thought of that before I got everything else set. I'm gonna have to reset my dial indicator. Yeah, before I get too stupid, better see where I need to go. 22 millimeter, that should be, let's see, that's 1.2 inches. Okay, we're 30 millimeters, so still got a long way to go. 867 is the number I've got in my mind. Well, you get the idea. We'll be back after a while. Well, she's getting a little hot. Not quite as hot as a steel chainsaw in a Oregon County pawn shop, but it's hot. So I'm going to get started over here on the steel that's sticking out, and I'm going to trim this down. And we're going to make this 1/2 inch threads out here for our cinch bolt to cinch this all up. So I'm just going to get started out here turning this down to 1/2 inch or a little under 1/2 inch to get started to cut threads on it. So no big deal out here. You've seen that before, so we'll be back here after a while. Well, I got to looking at this, and I think instead of having a stud sticking out the bottom of this with threads on it and a nut to tighten everything up, I think the more sensible approach will be to just part this off here and put a bolt up through this to pinch all of this together. I think that it'll give me more clearance off the bottom in case I need it. You know, you can always make stuff. I think it just worked better if I had a bolt in here rather than a stud and a nut. So this is cooled off by now. Yeah, it's fairly cool, probably about 90 degrees. I'm going to turn this down to finished dimension and face this off, and we'll have us a winner. Well, there we go. I would call that a good fit. I mean, that is a good fit. And I tried another one that fits them all. So some of y'all probably are wondering, why am I using aluminum instead of steel? Why didn't I, take an 1.5 inch piece of stock and turn it down? Well, or why didn't I make this bushing out of a 1.5 inch piece of round stock out of steel? Well, the answer is I didn't have no steel this big. All I had was a piece of aluminum, some slugs, and it's this is the day before Christmas Eve. All the stores are either closed or wanting to be, and I'm not going to be out trading with anybody for something like this when they should be home with their families. So anyway, I'm just out here hiding from my family, so I don't want to put anybody out. So that's why I'm making it the way I'm making it. And a second good thing about this, I'm not going to try to cut a keyway in this. There's just too little material here to cut a keyway in without severely compromising the material here. So I'm going to have to rely on the clamping force here to hold the cutter. Now with my little mill, I mean, it's 1/2 of a Chinese horsepower, and Chinese horses are a lot shorter than American horses or even Canadian horses. But the little mill this is going in, I mean, we're not talking about a whole lot of torque. So I'm just relying on clamping force, and aluminum will bite into even this polished steel a lot better than mild steel would ever bite into this polished steel. So once this is clamped down in there, I don't think I'll ever be able to slip this on the arbor with my little bitty mill. So that's another reason for making these bushings out of aluminum. So anyway, y'all like, subscribe, share, and all that jazz. And until we see you again, Y'all drive safe. Watch for deer.